Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chaldean News Radio. This is episode 8, and we have a really good interview for you guys today. We talked to Chris George, the branding guru, about all of his business advice, past ventures he's had, his subscription box trade organization and conference. He has tons of good information for you guys, and I think you'll really love it. So please enjoy the interview. Okay, cool. So I have a few um things before we start. Is I believe you know my uncle, Jack Abbo.
Oh yeah, of course.
And in fact, my cousin Jack reminded me that when I was a kid, we used to play with your huskies.
Yeah, yeah. You there?
Yeah, I hung out there all the time. That's
Oh,
that's
it's
my family.
amazing.
Um, so yeah, we're more connected than we think.
That's awesome.
That's always true with Chaldeans, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Um, so yeah, well, Chris, it's good to have you on here. Um, and so just so you know, we're planning to post this video. It looks like you're all set up for it.
Yeah,
So we're planning to post this as a podcast episode.
cool.
Um, Awesome. So yeah, you're someone reached out to us and just told us that you had some stuff you wanted to share. You're well known business person in the community, and I think people want to hear from you and hear about your story and how you've grown and how all that stuff, how you've helped people. So why don't you give us the intro to Chris's life? How did you get started? What are you proud of? I know you've had a lot of different business members or business ventures. So tell us about your favorites, and then we'll go from there. I'll start hitting you with questions.
Yeah, so yeah, I started my first company when I was 21. And from there, that's like sort of where my entrepreneurship journey started, right? My dad had liquor stores and I was working there as like the bottle boy and taking in the empties. And um I was originally I had a business that I had started when I was 21, and by about 26, maybe a little bit younger, I wanted to get into like e-commerce space, right? So inherently, like our community owns a lot of retail places, and like my dad had a liquor store, and you'd buy something for, $2, try to sell it for four, right? And you were doing it to this 2 mile radius around your location. And I had kind of thought like, well, why am I limiting myself to just the people that live around a location? Why can't I just sell to anybody across the nation or the world, right? So
All right.
I got into the e-commerce space, and the big part of my entrepreneurship journey started when I launched the Gentleman's Box, which was a subscription box for men. And we
What
would
what's
send you
what's in the
that,
gentleman's box?
yeah. So we would send you ties, dress socks, tie clips delivered monthly. The subscription space was still relatively new and nobody was targeting the male demographic. And so we started the Gentleman's Box because we wanted to target that demographic, and looking dapper more than ever has become a thing, right? The way guys dress, the way they look, the way they do their hair, uh, that's become more prevalent over the last 10 years. And so when we started the Gentleman's Box, we had the subscription box where we'd send you ties, dress socks, tie clips, the latest trends. We had a deal with GQ magazine where every month you got the subscription box, you also got the latest issue of GQ magazine.
Wow,
The
that's
idea there
sweet.
was that you would read about the latest fashion and then get it in a box. And so, that was truly exciting because on one end, we were building a business model where we were inherently building a relationship with the consumer. It's not like a typical e-commerce business where like you sell a t-shirt or you sell a tie, it's a one-off purchase. We were building a relationship with the consumer where monthly they were dependent on us delivering them some really cool dapper items, right?
Yeah.
And from there, things really changed for me in 2016 when I wanted to go to a conference and meet other subscription brands, and subscriptions were starting to grow and nothing existed. So me and my co-founders were like, hey, like, why don't we host a conference where we bring all these subscription companies together? And the best part about it is that like we were three guys with no event experience, but we were like,
Hmm.
let's host an event in Detroit. And what really felt like I like was in high school and I was throwing a party and I had no idea if anybody was going to show up. We had about 200 attendees attend this conference. We had
Wow.
Katya from Birchbox. She was the queen of subscriptions at the time. We had Michael from Fafit Fun. Fast forward 3 years later, we're in New Orleans with over 1,000 attendees, everybody from Disney Plus to Netflix and BarkBox and HelloFresh. And to this day, we've built the largest community of direct to consumer subscription brands. We run the largest event in the world for direct to consumer subscriptions. And the true passion has come for me is I found passion and value in helping others build really cool businesses. And that's when everything in my life took off, right? Everything from the financial success, from the recognition, me being able to help others build really good businesses. I get a lot of excitement around. And we built the trade association and the event into a really large business. And it's now what I do full time.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story to hear. Now I'm interested, especially in one person who I know you've helped a lot, and he has a business which is very up and coming,
Yep.
especially recently. We actually did a story on Michael Sana a few months ago,
Yep.
and his kind of streetwear, um, like model clothing brand that's only been around for what, a year or two now,
Yeah. A year and a half.
and it's really had such a huge effect already on Detroit. I mean,
Yep.
the Chaldeans, but also the general community. He's getting so much attention with so many different athletes and
Yep.
wearing his stuff after he design puts them on their designs. How did you work with him? How do you know him, and how are you involved in that project?
Yeah. So, as I've grown my businesses, I have a lot of knowledge in e-commerce. I understand consumer behavior really well. So I understand what a consumer is thinking when they land on a website. Why do they make the purchase? Why don't they make the purchase? I understand how to build relationships with the consumers. And prior to me and Michael engaging, and to this day, I speak at probably a dozen conferences a year. I've spoken at over 30 universities, everything from NYU to George Washington, all across the nation. And a lot of these marketing classes have me come in and speak about this consumer behavior and why subscriptions are so important. Me and Michael were actually on the same hockey team in the CHL, but I
Wow.
wasn't that close with him at the time, but we had known each other. And he was just starting this brand. And a couple times he'd asked me for some tips, right? He was still relatively new. And then I think what really happened was like in June of last year or July, he was asking some other people, like, hey, he was asking for some advice. And I think it was two or three people, all of them were like, you need to talk to Chris George.
Hmm.
And so, one, I was grateful that people had thought so highly of me, but he then came to me and was like, hey, like everybody's telling me I need to talk to you about this. So we then talked about it more. I saw what he was building. I think the most critical part of what he was building and why I think he's so successful, forget the product, forget what it looks like. He's building a community, and community businesses are the ones that have the best opportunity for success. So very quickly in the last year, we've now become like best friends. I'm his business partner in the venture. I help him almost like a CMO, acting CMO, right? Strategy on the marketing side, but even more just like you could call it like a consultant to the CEO, right? He's a
Hmm.
young entrepreneur, very smart, very impressive. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's smarter than I was at 22 or 23 years old. I think he's 23 now, or maybe he just turned 24. His family comes from a retail background. His family owned the
Hmm.
soccer world. So he's got a lot of knowledge, and he accelerated fast. And so in a lot of cases, he comes to me on like how to handle certain situations. If we're having big conversations with whether it's with athletes or brands, I'm in those conversations to help navigate them through. I've got a lot of experience in working with the biggest brands in the world, right? I worked with Warner Brothers to build Ellen DeGeneres' subscription box. I've worked with some of the biggest brands on consulting them on how to build their marketing strategy and how to build a subscription or how to build the right e-commerce website. And so, I navigate those conversations with them. He's a great kid. He's building an amazing brand. And I will tell you that his biggest reason for his success is the community he's building. these consumers love the brand, they like him, they're loyal to it, and he's having repeat customers. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's, north of 40% are buying more than one
Mm-hmm.
shirt on a drop. That's a really good take rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means he's keeping longevity with the consumers, and he's only able to expand it. And when we launched the Jordan Poole design, we went from Michigan to now San Francisco, and like we've got a piece of California, which is a big deal. It was the biggest drop we'd ever had, and we've got some things happening for opening day for colleges for football
Mm-hmm.
happening here in the next month, and that's how that all transpired. And now we're close friends. We talk every single day. He'll sometimes be jamming out at my house, and we'll be working until 2 a.m. And I have this I love startup life. I
Yeah.
have this weird thing that's happened to me where every company I've ever started after 7 years is like when it gets acquired. So I've had two businesses that were acquired. One was a collection agency, and one was Gentleman's Box, and now this trade association is the next venture. And I just love startup life. I love the grind. I love building something new. I love doing something different. And I think what's important, especially for those that might be listening in our community, and something that I like to preach, is when I was about 33, maybe 32, when I stopped worrying about the financial gains and the financial benefit of what I was building, and I focused on what I was true to heart at, which was in my case helping others build really amazing businesses, I had the most success. And so building brand, the process of building a business is what's fun, and it's never financially motivated for me. And that's how I've seen the success, right? Our community, love it or hate it, it's like a fast cash community, right? What can I do today to make a bunch of money tomorrow? Well, unfortunately, it's not how it works, right? And
Well,
it's
and there's a reason for that, right? A lot of people didn't have a choice, you know. Um, like your parents, I believe, immigrated here. Is that
yep.
right? And so, I mean, in a lot of ways, they walked so you could run, right? So people sort of had to have this, let's get a store so that my kids, so, it's everything's for my kids. And now here you are, with the biggest subscription box organization, starting brands and doing startups and all that. And, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think what's important is it's brand building, so Michael's building a brand. He's not building a business,
Mm-hmm.
right? You look at the most successful entrepreneurs, they built a brand, not a business. A business prints money in some cases, and then when things go sour, it becomes a problem because you have no brand loyalty. Those that build a brand see the most success.
Interesting. So what do you think are some of the top brands around here that we can talk about Michael Sana as a kind of
Yeah,
local example, but outside of yourself and your own ventures, what models are cool? What do you think people are? Who do you think got it right?
I think that there's a few that have. I mean, I think if I'm looking around our community, uh, you can look at a lot of those in the cannabis space have done a really good job in building really good brands. Those, you've got some of upwards of 20, 30 dispensaries, right? You look at what Gage did, you look at what Gatsby Cannabis is doing, you look at what Jars is doing. These guys are building brand, right? Um, my good friend, he owns all the Cosmo Salon Studios. He built a brand within Cosmo. I mean, he took a model of salon suites, and he's built this in a multiple locations. He's building a brand, right? It wasn't build one spot and just generate cash from it. He's building a brand that's got, I think gonna have 10 locations in the next 2 years. He's done an amazing job there. I think, and I think a lot of them are doing it well. I think outside of that, reality of it is you look at I'm going to go back to the brands that have had the most success, and it's going to go back to community. Look at something like Peloton, right? They built a community. It's almost like a cult. Are you part of Peloton?
Yeah.
Right? You're going on this bike and you're getting on video, super amazing. I think one thing that's most important is that every single brand should be thinking about some sort of subscription model. And if you're not, you're going to miss the boat.
Hmm.
It's no different than in the year 2000s when you had retail stores and you weren't thinking about building a website because you didn't believe that the
Right.
website was the future. Now, if you're an e-commerce brand, I don't care actually what business you are. you should have some sort of membership or subscription model associated with it. The reason being is there are big elephants in the world of retail. It's Amazon and the Walmarts. And no matter what you sell and no matter what you do, they will sell something to you cheaper and they will ship it to you faster. In order for you to have success and beat those big elephants is to, one, either offer an item that you can't get anywhere else, hence Son in Detroit. Like you can't buy a Son in Detroit t-shirt on Amazon.com, or build a relationship with the consumer, because Amazon's never going to be able to, they're never going to be able to provide an experience that like a single brand could provide, right? Really, case in point. You look at a brand like Chewy.com, right? Pet supplies, pet food, pet toys. Amazon sells pet supplies, pet food, and pet toys, but they built a business that got acquired for $3.5 billion by Petco. This was like in 6 years. I mean, this is a big number. The reason they had so much success was because Chewy.com invested millions of dollars in educating their customer service team around every single product they sold and provided. If I were to call Amazon right now and say, I have 105-pound husky, he's having some stomach issues, what food should I give him? More than likely, the Amazon rep isn't going to have the answer for me, right?
Yeah.
If I called Chewy.com and asked that question, the Chewy.com rep is going to be able to tell me which food to give him. And by the way, if I got that food and my dog didn't like it and I called Chewy and said, hey, my dog doesn't like this food, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Chewy.com will tell you, keep the food, donate it to a local shelter. Let's send you a different product to try. Wow. That's an experience, right?
Yeah.
They send out holiday cards. Like I think it was in 2017, I was talking to their CMO. They hand wrote over 1 million holiday cards and sent them to their customers. Hand wrote.
No way.
This is an experience that Amazon's not going to provide. Walmart's not going to provide. If you want to succeed, you've got to provide an experience you're not getting on the retail level. The subscription model allows you to do that because you're engaged with the consumer month over month, whether it's monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, quarterly, you're engaging the consumer regularly.
Right. What do you think people get wrong? What are some mistakes that you've seen kind of burn people, or even mistakes that you've made yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe when you were younger that you've had to learn from.
Entrepreneurs, the biggest thing is like when starting a new project or business, they don't have a really robust go-to-market strategy. Truth is, ideas are cheap. Execution's everything.
Yeah,
How you go to market?
I have $1 million ideas in the shower.
Yeah.
This morning I had 3 of them.
Yes. And if you don't put a robust plan to put them out in the market, then it's just an idea, right? And so, I always joke that, like, unfortunately, it's not like Field of Dreams, right? The movie where if you build a baseball field, players are going to come. That's not going to happen, right? So if you've got a really good idea, and when I probably get pitched, I don't know, once a week, somebody's calling me to like be their partner on something. And over the last 5 years, I've picked 2 of them. I'm very selective. The number one turnoff is when they come to me with an idea with no go-to-market strategy.
What do you mean?
With how you.
What do you mean by go to market?
How are you going to get exposure to this?
Okay.
Right. So like if you're putting a corner deli, well, tell me why people are going to come to it. If I'm starting a new brand, how are you going to get people to come buy the product? If I'm building a new website, how am I going to get people to come to it? If I'm inventing a new kitchen item, how am I going to get people to come buy it? I'm going to market it. Well, what does that mean? Right? Like, how are you going to do influencer marketing? Are you going to spend money on Facebook ads? Do you understand how Facebook ads work? Are you going to write blogs around it? Are you going to start a podcast to get awareness? Right? All this stuff is very important. The other part of it too is the business understanding where their target market's attention is, right? So where are the people that I want to buy my product or service? Where is their attention? If I'm a B2B service, then my attention needs to be on LinkedIn. Right? Is my audience, 17 to 26-year-olds? Like, do I need to be on TikTok? Like, do I need to be on Instagram? Do I need to be on Facebook? Right? If I have a product that's a kid's toy, well, ideally you might think you'd want to be on TikTok, but you wouldn't. You'd want to be like on Facebook because you want to target the parents or the grandparents. They're the ones that have the credit card and the money to make the purchase, right? So I think that's a big mistake. I think another big mistake is thinking that things are easy. Patience is critical. I think the other big mistake is to do it for money. Like
Mm.
I'm a big advocate of like not doing anything for the money. And everybody always tries to hit me with this like BS of like, oh, it's because you make money. It's easy to say that. Like, no, like I've made money, but I've never made more when I stopped thinking about building something because of the money.
It's an interesting idea.
Um, that's a big part of it. Like when you love something and you do it because you love it, you are inherently going to do it better. Right? Just think about like when you've had jobs and like you hated your job. Like you can never work at your full potential if you hate going into work. You're already
Hmm.
going in with this like negative like mentality of like, shit, I got to go to work, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when you love it, it's not work. Like I have nights, there's days I'm in here and I might leave at 4 o'clock to go play tennis. Everybody knows on Instagram I play tennis all the time. But I got home at 7 o'clock yesterday and it worked until 9:30, and it wasn't work. I'm
Yeah.
building something. This is fun for me. On Saturday, I was on the computer from like, I don't know, it was like 1:30 until 8 o'clock. And then my friends came over and we went out, but like I wasn't working. I was building something that's amazing,
Hmm.
you know? And I think that's what becomes critical. And I get there's different circumstances in all our lives. Like in some cases, you've got to work, you got to provide for your family, you've got to take that job that you don't love to provide. That's absolutely okay. But start something on the side on what you like doing and build that until it gets to the point where you can do that full time. And I also think this whole thing about like work harder, like it's not really work harder, it's work really smart and diligent, right? And be efficient. If the hardest workers made the most money, then construction people would be the richest people in the world,
Right.
right? It's the ones that are the most efficient, the ones that are the most strategic, the ones that are proactive on how they're planning items and how they're doing things. That's what's the most important.
Yeah. Wow. Um, I I'm really interested in the what you were talking about when you said that it doesn't feel like work when you're working, because I think that's really important. Like so many people are stuck in this, like get a job, earn my wage, go out at night on the weekends.
Yep.
And then um and very few people have that I want to say advantage of being able to just do what you want, and then kind of like when you're doing what you want, it ends up
Yeah.
being like something you can make into a business.
Yep.
But so many things are uh, interests and stuff, you just can't end up doing that.
Yeah,
um
it's about like what's your reasoning for doing it? Like you get caught up in this FOMO because you didn't go out on a weekend and you're so worried about going out, like you're just setting yourself up for the less opportunity to be successful. Like I remember from like 21 until maybe 29, my friends were going to Vegas all the time and they were going to Miami. Like I wasn't going. One, I like couldn't afford it. Two, like I was building a company, right? And so I was okay with that. I made that decision that like, hey, like I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna build amazing businesses because that's what I want to do. I don't believe that you don't live, because like I love to go travel and I love to go do things and I love and you'll see me out on a Saturday night. But when you won't see me out is on Monday through Friday, because I have a
yeah.
strict routine. I wake up at 6:30 every single morning. I'm either playing tennis or I'm working out. And I get to the office right around 9. Like I have a strict routine. I think that's really important. There's consistency. I got to be in bed by midnight. Otherwise, I'm going to wake up tired,
Hmm.
which is going to affect the whole day. Right. You
when did
know,
you when did you get into that routine?
the routine is actually more relatively newer. Maybe within the last year, I started like a strict routine, because before I made sure I was up early and I got to the office, but like I could easily be swayed to like go out on a Thursday maybe,
Yeah.
or like go grab dinner. Now it's like strict. It's like I'm in bed by midnight, Monday through Thursday, no matter what. And I'll wake up Saturday morning. I might sleep in a little bit, 9:30. I might go play tennis, and then I jump on the computer for a few hours. Then my friends might come over. Sunday's pretty similar. I jump on the computer on a Sunday too, even if it's for a couple hours. I also think like a lot of us are wasting a lot of time on social media, right? And I love social media. I love watching TikTok. I'm not gonna lie, like it's good passive entertainment, but it's about how much you limit it to, right? Like if you can look at your phone screen time on the apps. If you're
Bad.
spending 2 hours, right, on social media, let's say, like I'm not saying eliminate it because I don't think that's reasonable. I'm saying cut out 30 minutes of it and listen to a podcast or watch a video around something in your space to educate yourself. Like spend some of the time, right? Instead of watching Netflix every night for 2 hours, like cut out a half an hour. I have a routine. I walk my dog every morning. On that morning walk, religiously, I am listening to a podcast.
Wow.
And on my 5 o'clock walk, I'm taking a call usually. And
What's
one
your
of two types of calls.
what's your
that?
favorite podcast? What do you listen
Okay,
to?
Gary V's. I'm a big fan of Gary. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. I'm a big fan
Mm.
of Seth Godin. Right. I kind of like a lot of times I find things on YouTube looking for trending items like what's happening in the marketing space. I pay attention to a lot of those.
So if you were to kind of define yourself as a field, is it marketing?
Yeah, entrepreneurship and marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I think every business needs some sort of marketing part of it, right? So my skill set is in like entrepreneurship and marketing for sure, understanding consumer behavior and building businesses, right? Like I'm really good at identifying like a bottleneck within an organization and saying like we need to solve this, right? I'm also a big proponent of like hiring really, really good employees, like super talented team. Like I have it. I'm grateful. I have it so easy. This podcast was at noon. I walked into the room. The room was set up with the lights ready, the camera on. Like Alex had this all set up. He's on my video team. Like, what a luxury. And when this is over, I will get up and walk over to my desk and get back to work while he's like taking down the recording and shutting this off and getting like that's a huge advantage for me. That's a half hour of my time that I get to spend doing something else that can help us grow the business. We inherently in our community, and I'm bringing up our community because we're on the Chaldean, this is the Chaldean News podcast.
Yeah.
We're like owner operators, right? Like I'm the opposite of that. Like my team operates the business.
Right.
I'm like the visionary side of it, I joke with my friends like this saying, which is from a movie, which I happened to actually watch again last night. It's like I joke, it's like I'm playing the orchestra and like I've got like the top violinist and the cello player, like they're the ones really playing the music. Right. So
yeah.
A really good team is super important. And, instead of taking a bunch of company profits and buying myself a new sports car, I'm reinvesting it in the company so that I can one day own the dealership.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really important idea too. What's so as far as marketing goes, what kind of like recent trend or development has like surprised you? Whether it's, I mean, like TikTok style
Yeah.
videos
Oh,
or something that's maybe died out in the last few years. What's new? What should people focus on?
yeah. So I recently invested in a company. I'm actually glad you brought this question up. So I recently invested in a company where it's sort of like a growth hack on the Facebook, Instagram marketing side of things. And what's exciting me about this is the new way they're running Facebook and social ads. So typically you're on Facebook and Instagram, you see an ad, let's say for what's a brand you like? Let's say you see an ad for Peloton, as an example. You would see an ad for Peloton and you would click that ad and it would take you to Peloton's website. And then Peloton would, the website would hopefully convert you into buying something, right? Well, this new company that I just recently invested in out of New York, they've changed the way that top of the funnel traffic comes. So instead of seeing an ad for Peloton that takes you to Peloton's website, they're doing what's called Facebook whitelisting. So you're actually going to see an ad from a creator, and the creator in the ad's going to say, for example, Peloton versus Mirror. And you're going to click that, and instead of going to Peloton's website, you're actually going to a blog where this person tells you about their experience of reviewing Peloton versus Mirror. And at the very end, they might tell you you should buy Mirror. And that link is going to take you then to the website of Mirror to make the purchase. So it's reading a third-party review from a creator. And if you think of the psychology around it, it makes sense, right? We're more likely to buy something from somebody that's recommended it versus a company telling us to buy it. You go look at you go to say, I want to go eat somewhere. What do? You look at the Google reviews, and this person, you have no idea who it is. John Doe says, love the Italian food. And you're like, oh, look at all these random people. I don't know who they are. They love it. Like, let's go try it. Well, this review is an authentic review from a creator saying that they like this product. So you click on it, you read it, you're more than likely to make the purchase because like you got a review from a third party telling you they like the product, right? So that's a growth hack marketing that I'm seeing work really well. This company I just invested in is crushing it. Like, I actually think it's going to be like the biggest home run of investments I've ever done. And unfortunately, I can provide value because I work with so many brands that can take advantage of this, right? Yeah. So I think that. I also think that there's still a lot of opportunity on LinkedIn and TikTok with the organic traffic, you know. And what's becomes important is like how you build those ads, right? Like, it's one thing to say, like, I'm going to start TikTok ads. It's like another thing to say, like, well, how are you doing it? How are you A/B testing it? Have you learned the way to target different audiences? Everything is like, why do you do it and how are you going to accomplish it? And then like, what are the metrics for success, right? Like, is it clicks to the site? Is it conversions? I could go on and on about this, I'm sure, as you could tell, but yeah, there's opportunities there.
So Chris, as we're sort of wrapping up, I want to get into this topic, which is somebody my age. I'm 23, you know. You started a couple years earlier. What should we be looking to do right now if we want to kind of build businesses or follow in your footsteps and build brands and, you know, create this meaning for people?
Number one is figure out what you love doing every day and figure out how to make money doing that. So I get the question all the time, Chris, I need to make more money. What kind of business should I start? It's the wrong question. The question is, what do you love doing and how can you make money doing it? And you're 23. So the beauty of all this is you got all the time to figure it out. You can screw up for the next 10 years and it might hit when you're 33. It might hit when you're 35, right? Figure out what you love most means try different things. Think about what like you're super passionate about. A really good question is, if I said to you, what would you do every single day even if you didn't get paid to do it? I don't get paid all the time to help people grow their businesses. Like, I get phone calls from friends. I go to the colleges. I don't ask for any pay because I love to help the students and guide them down a path. I leave tens of thousands of dollars on the table monthly because I don't charge the schools and friends. And I'll work with a brand that will pay me $800 an hour for consulting. I know they can afford it because they're a big company, but I'm giving tens of hours monthly for free to people because I want to help them do it. And I enjoy doing it. That's how I know I can build a business around it because I do it for free and I love it.
That's an interesting question. What happens if your answer is like playing video games?
Then if it's playing video games, try to find a job at EA Sports where you're a video game tester.
Yeah.
Right? Or is it, I play video games and start a podcast around like reviewing the games? And is it becoming a Twitch player? Like, you can do all these things. Like you know what, to your point, there are people making millions of dollars playing video games.
Yeah. A lot more than me. That's for sure.
You just have to keep going. Like, the biggest mistake people will make is that they give up because they expect to get 5,000 viewers on day one. Like, Ninja didn't get 5,000 viewers on day one. He grinded out. Right. Yeah. And if that means that you go get a part-time job doing something and then you spend the other 6 hours a day streaming, you do it. But you also have to be self-aware. In order to be a successful streamer, you have to be one of two things: either be really good or really entertaining. You can't be average and not entertaining because nobody's going to watch you. You either got to be sweet because you're sick at the game, or you got to be super funny or be entertaining, get them engaged. Like, they watch you. They don't care how well you are. They love seeing your reactions to certain things. I mean, there's a kid on TikTok that he's playing, I think, Grand Theft Auto, and he's like the police car, and his reactions when people blow by him at 150 miles an hour are like amazing, right? The kid goes crazy. He pulls him over. He's like, it's entertaining. Like, this, I'm literally watching this kid pull over people in Grand Theft Auto, and I'm getting entertainment out of it.
Yeah. And there's another really good example of a subscription model and building communities,
Yep.
discords and all
Yep.
that stuff that people are
Patreon.
engaged
Yes.
in.
And
Patreon,
Sana
wow,
Detroit will have a subscription model. It will happen in the next
good.
probably 12 months.
You guys heard it here first.
Yeah, it'll be there. It'll be
That's
there.
awesome. You know, I haven't bought anything from Sana yet. That's because I really liked those trading cards, the Red Wings cards, and they sold out in 15 minutes.
Ugh.
And I was like 20 minutes late. Um,
Well,
but man,
if we have one, I'll get you one.
yeah, awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you. But
of course.
those are sweet. Chris, anything else you want to say to the listeners? Any last words for them?
No, just find what you love doing every day. Whether that's if it's an entrepreneur, find your passion. If it's working for somebody else, it's find a company that's doing something that you truly believe in. Don't pick the job because it's going to pay you more. Pick the job where you'll enjoy working with that team and they've got a mission around something you're passionate about. Life will be much better.
Awesome. Chris, thank you. It's been a great time talking with you. I think people are going to enjoy this interview a lot. Where can we find you? What do you want to plug?
Yeah, look, my email is chris@subta.com. It's subta.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. My Instagram is Chris G Certified. You can find me on there as well. But if you email me, I'm an inbox zero, so I will reply. And if anybody needs anything at all, please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. And to the listeners, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time with
Thanks,
another great
Cal.
interview.
Appreciate it.